Hello, this is Layron with the Fantasy Grounds Academy. Today I'm here with Pharoid, or CRW Designs for Traveler. He makes assets for the Fantasy Grounds Forge, his own website, blog. I advise that after the video you check out the links that I'm going to provide. But without further ado, I want to welcome to our show today. This is Pharoid, as we know him on Discord, for CRW, kind of known for some impressive work on Traveler 2 content. And he makes a lot of space assets, spaceships, all kinds of stuff. So, hey, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the interview and the opportunity.
Yeah, nice to have you here. It's been a while since we've actually talked. I know we did some stuff a few years ago with the Traveler, but I wanted you to kind of take a few minutes or so for your introduction. So, what inspired you to develop these assets? Namely for Traveler, but it could be used in other cases too.
Right. Well, it started when I first started doing VTT. I mean, I was researching VTTs and Traveler 1.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best. So I invested heavily in FTU Traveler, and I was disappointed that there were no 2D deck plans at the time, and everything you got was just what was in the book, which I wanted to utilize Fantasy Grounds power because I also played some 5e. I probably logged more 5e hours playing than I have Traveler, just because of the group direction that we went in. But 5e kind of spoiled me because it's got the effects, it's got everything you could imagine. Right, that's really showed me F2's power. So when I got back to Traveler, I'm like, you know what, we need 2D deck plans at the very least. So that's where I started. Made some deck plans, did the LOS, put some lighting in there eventually, and I was pretty happy with it.
That's great. I'm glad that you were able to do that because you're right. There isn't enough, the sci-fi assets, period. I mean, even if you go in and look at other rule sets, there really isn't a whole lot out there. And I realize it's not the big, most popular thing, but you'd think there'd be a little bit more. And I think over the years there has been a little bit more because I remember when I first started, there was hardly any. And it's kind of come around since you got, you got Starfinder and a couple other rule sets. Kind of like, I think Cyberpunk assets, some of those might work. Depending on what you're doing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely getting better. But at the time, it was horrible. I was looking and you Google stuff and you take a piece from here and a piece from there, and pretty much you got this big ugly hodgepodge of different styles of your icons and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of go nuts too when the styles vary too much, and it's kind of, it doesn't look so good when you're trying to tell a story. I kind of do like to have the assets to match or look decent anyways.
So then I figured, well, then I discovered Arkenforge, which was free to distribute, which was the coolest part of it. They had some space stuff coming out, so I signed up for their Kickstarter, and I got the sci-fi stuff. And while I was doing that, I was actually creating my own stuff at the same time, just to have something exactly like I want, or as close as I could get it to what I wanted.
Yeah, Arkenforge is pretty cool. I like the guys. I'm kind of invested.
Those guys have been pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. I like their platform too. It's pretty nice.
I've only used it for designing, and it's worth the price of admission just for that. I mean, just for right. But I want to try it, but I think I want to do the whole table, the touchscreen table. But I don't, I don't have enough money or time to go to that depth yet. So.
I hear you. So just a necessity alone kind of drove you to creating the content for Fantasy Grounds and for yourself. You also have stuff on DTRPG, right?
Yeah, I have a couple things on Drive-Thru. I mean, initially I just was focusing on Fantasy Grounds, just Fantasy Grounds, and then I figured, well, I'll put it on a Drive-Thru and see how it does. Maybe different VTTs, or even at the table, people could print it out and use it. But it really hasn't done much. I mean, I think I put it out there and thought it was going to do really good, but I'm not sure I'm going to release any more DTRPG stuff unless that stuff picks up. But I don't think so far it hasn't. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe we'll help a little bit with our links and getting your stuff out there. It's kind of part of the idea of doing this. And the other thing is, at the end here, we'll talk about where you have your stuff and where we can find you. But I think I want to encourage you to put your stuff out on different stores and to get it out there, and maybe it'll drive more traffic to you down the road. I don't think it's going to be an overnight success until people start realizing what you have to offer, and this video will help with that a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah, I've tried to do marketing and increase my presence and be on different platforms, but that's a job in itself. It's
It is.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just made an Instagram. I mean, because the kids are like, "You're on Facebook? Facebook's for old people." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yep.
come on." So, in order to talk to my kids, I had to get an Instagram, and I go, "Well, I'll just put CRW stuff on Instagram."
The latest thing, though, is TikTok. So if you can get on TikTok, use your animated videos. That's the way to go.
Really?
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that after this show. But
Okay.
let's talk about your design process and some of the tools. So can you share some of that with us?
Like visually, or just?
Yeah, you could do both. A little of both. We don't need to look at the whole full-blown, apparatus. But
I think I'd have to share it out as well here. Hold
yeah,
on.
okay. Well, while you're doing that, or while you're thinking about it, let's just talk about it a little bit. So, what programs are you using?
Blender is probably the primary program I'm using now. I mean, initially when I started doing 3D design, 20 plus, maybe even 30 years ago now, was Bryce.
Yep, Bryce 3D. Yep.
Dad had a Mac, and we got into Bryce, creating like alien landscapes, and yeah, it was just super cool. I mean, so eventually I started to 3D design or model starships, and I use a lot of different tools, from the free ones to Google SketchUp, and I even purchased Cinema 4D at one point, which was probably the height of my purchases, because that was expensive. But I've used a lot of them, and the problem with 3D programs is unless you just pick one and use it, if you use it as seldom as I found myself using it, I mean, I'd go a couple weeks and I'd come back and go, well, I want to do another Starship, and I forgot how to do it in that program or something. So it got pretty frustrating. So I went to finally, after trying 10 or 11 different ones, I'm sure, I went to Blender.
Okay.
I had looked at Blender in the past, and it's grown a lot in the last 20 years, obviously, but it used to the GUI on it used to be like an afterthought. I mean, unless you had four hands to hold shift and shift A and enter, and then hit one with your nose.
I'm surprised you don't have DOS commands on it.
I'm like, I can't do this either. It's just too much to remember. So once I got the GUI settled down, and it's, to me, it's as powerful or more than what I used to use, the $100 products, or $100.
You can probably show that at the end, your tools. We don't have to show it now because you got everything set for Fantasy Ground. So
yeah, we probably should stick in Fantasy Ground.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's about the extent of it. Blender has been my primary platform. I still have to go back and find something that I saved in Bryce if I'm updating some of my old stuff, like really old stuff.
Right. Do you use GIMP or Adobe?
Oh, GIMP, totally. Yeah.
Okay.
I use GIMP all the time. There's some other products. Krita is one I just started using because I'm getting into animation.
Okay.
That's a freebie, and you can load a whole video or import a whole video, or you can import just the frames and export it to different formats. So I was playing with that, as well as the.
We're getting on the cusp where we'll be able to generate these things soon, but we'll see what happens. Probably not for another year, but it's coming.
Oh yeah, they're doing AI 3D models now, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. But I kind of appreciate the fact that you're doing these yourself by hand, and you're not just jumping on the bandwagon and trying to do everything with AI. Because I know, including myself, I've done a lot, and I start to realize the limitations of it. Plus, there's quite a bit of pushback from the community still. So Until
Yeah,
then, I'll just keep it to myself mostly.
I think AI is the coolest thing since sliced bread, but
Yeah.
I can't. I can probably sell with it, but then you're going to get all the comments and
Right.
where did you do this? And even though I might have done 90% of it myself, if I do free images that are AI, I'm going to
Yeah.
get probably, and I won't be able to post them in certain forums because they're like, don't put AI stuff here. You can't put AI stuff here. And
Right.
I'm like, good God, I'm just not
Yeah, I
going
hear
to.
you.
I'm just not going to use it for now. So like,
Yeah, you might as well just wait a while because I think eventually that stuff will go away or it'll be in a different form or shapes by then. Maybe they'll have some of the rules and the regulations in place. Who knows? But
I mean, they'll have no choice at some point because it's going to be masked in its implementation. Like Blender's going to have an add-on that will do AI
right.
textures or something for you,
Yep.
and
Exactly.
you're really not going to be able to tell at some point. Probably
Right.
not at this point now, but
Yep.
eventually.
Yep. So I always thought that maybe a lot of the fantasy crowd, like D&D people and stuff, they don't really want to see that in a lot of their gameplay. But I honestly think cyberpunk and sci-fi makes sense using AI to make a synthetic world. So I think it makes
Oh, if you're
kind of
not
has
if you're not selling stuff and you're not using AI, I mean, you should be using AI.
exactly.
Because if you're just for your local gaming group or whatever, you're just creating a world or something, and it's just for them.
Yeah.
You know, get on board because that's some cool stuff.
All right, so let's take a look at some of your content. I didn't want to get too far off topic. I knew the AI thing would come up, but we kind of got that out of the way. So let's take a look at some of the stuff you're doing. Go ahead and just kind of walk through it. I'm not going to interrupt you that much, and
Okay.
let's see what you do.
All right. I'll show some of my stuff. I mean, let's see. Well, first of all, I'm using the Traveler MGT2 rule set at the moment, and it's got my Cepheus Blue theme. So it probably doesn't look exactly like Traveler that most people are used to, but the Cepheus Blue theme works just fine with it, and that's what I'm using, and that's free on the Forge. These are all the modules that I have loaded. I'm not going to cover every bit of every one of them, but there's little bits and pieces of some of them in what I'm going to show you here. It all really spawns from the CRW hex maps module, which is probably my most extensive or second most extensive mapping asset product. It's got geohex templates. It's got larger templates. It's got planet map templates, which I'm going to show you. It's got the subsectors. It's got larger square templates. Some old ones I just threw in there for the heck of it. Non-hex maps. I mean, all the assets in here don't necessarily have to be hex based. I've got assets in this product that you can use for whatever you want. It's got some starport blocks you can throw in there. It's got like this landing pad and all these different assets that you can throw in with the trees and water, land, or whatever you want. It's really quite extensive. It's got the space combat template in it too, which I'll show you a little bit later. That works. That really for Traveler, but I mean you can modify it, use it just about any space combat rule set that you want. Yeah, it's got like building assets. I just showed a couple of them there as a sample. It's got a couple of the sci-fi blocks for my starport stuff. And these are just some of the hex assets that you can use. Like you can make I made as close as I could to like a Greyhawk map, the world of Greyhawk. So it's not just limited to sci-fi, but that's primarily why I made it, just to make planets and stuff. So it's basically just a hex mapping package with assets that you can use with anything. But I've also created some templates that are traveler or space specific, like the subsector and stuff like that. So let's see, I'll bring up the first one. This is just a subsector here. Anyone familiar with Traveler is going to recognize this. So this is a bunch of templates that I put together. I mean, you could change the backgrounds.
Wow.
You could even put your own backgrounds in there if you want. Oh, you got to get rid of the first one.
So
Yeah,
you're just toggling the different layers in Fantasy Grounds.
yeah, just toggling the layers. And when I created it, I put all the planets or some. Actually, I mislabeled that one, but you can toggle the asteroids off.
Cool.
This one has my 3D planet product I'm using. So in addition to the hex map, I'm using the 3D planet product, and these ships, animated ships, are from the I think it's CRW Starship.
Mhm.
I think that's it. It's a bunch of 3D animated starships they're mostly the Cepheus engine are rule set based, but so primarily I stick with the Traveler and Cepheus engine for my sci-fi. I'm from talking to you, I'm looking to branch out because Alien looks really cool. I've got some Starfinder books, so I've been kind of leaning in that direction.
Cool.
So
That'll be helpful.
Just about all this stuff works in Starfinder, and I'm just showing you the Traveler bent to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We certainly don't have enough non-5e stuff, so it's nice to have Traveler and other rule sets once in a while.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When everyone's saying, can you make that for 5e? I go, well, I could, but these other people have already made it. Have you looked at their stuff?
Well, I could
Right.
see maybe the what is that? It's like almost like 5e modern, but it's kind of like a hybrid of space and I can't remember the name. It starts with an E.
Oh, yeah. Esper Genesis.
Yeah, Esper Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might work
G-Rex.
for that.
Wasn't G-Rex involved in that somehow?
Yes. Yeah, he was doing a lot of the conversions.
Yeah. I should try that too. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day. Plus, I've been doing Traveler for 40 years, so and it's the only thing I can talk my group into playing, either Traveler or D&D. I mean, it was a chore just to get them to switch to 5e because they were 3.5 fanatics.
I bet.
But I got them converted.
So what does that look like expanded out? Can you expand that window?
Like make it closer? Or?
Yeah, make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, that looks really good. Like if you look at those details on there,
man, look at that starship.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I mean,
I love it.
Game-wise, not often would you do that, but even the planets. I mean, I put some
just the movement. That is really neat.
And this one with the atmosphere and the clouds.
Wow. Pretty slick, man.
Some of them I made bigger than others.
Yeah.
Like this one, I think is probably 1,000.
Yeah. That's so really neat looking.
You could actually put these as the background of a map or something.
It's almost like Planet Hoth or something.
I know, right? This would be great in the Star Wars.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, and all this stuff, like I said, would apply to if you want to use it in Star Wars, you want to use it whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to work. It's just these Traveler-specific templates that I made.
I like the subsector implementation that you've done because this is kind of like Traveler Map if you guys use that resource if you're into Traveler. So this is a really cool interpretation of that.
Yeah, I think my ultimate goal is probably to make a source book for or an adventure, and every Traveler adventure is going to have a subsector map or at least part of a subsector where you're at. It's going to have obviously starships. It's going to have NPCs, and I can even include the starport stuff and create encounters and stuff. So my eventual goal is to take all this stuff that I created and put it into a source book with encounters and adventures. And
yeah, I'd like to see you do the in-between stuff because you know how when you travel from one subsector to another, sometimes you need that stuff in the middle that's not really covered. You know, like maybe a space station or something cool like that, like a way station where you can go and refuel and trade and stuff, and then go on to your next quest. You know, things like that.
Yeah, I'd be able to do all that stuff. Just take my assets and map it out. Call it a day.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I think that would be a nice little niche to fill because if we do something based on what's already out there, it's kind of like redundant in a sense. But if you're doing stuff in between what's out there, unless there's something that's missing a lot, that's another thing. But
I also found cool. Fantasy Grounds users tend to be the less tweaky, under the hood kind of guys. They want something out of the box, which initially was me for sure. But there was nothing out of the box, right? For Traveler, that went to the detail in Fantasy Grounds that I
Right.
want.
So it's a good way to harness what it can do for sure.
Yeah, so
Let's take a look at some of these planets and ships.
yeah, so I started from the subsector level,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll drill down all the way to the individual starship level. So let's say we're going to this planet here. Click on that. That brings up the actual planet map, which is also from the Hex stuff. Just a
Nice.
template. So you can create any planet you want with any terrain you want from the Hex thing, or even make your own hexes and throw them in there. This is kind of cool because I got the water. This is also has some different templates you can add to it, like get rid of the volcanics. Everything I put in there, I put in folders. And I found that there's so many hexes. Then you want to put this stuff in folders, otherwise it starts to slow down.
Yep.
So yeah, and I put all that. I put all the hints in my in the module if you read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to show you the FX. That's Fantasy Grounds FX layer. So that's the clouds.
Yep. It does make a difference.
Yeah, it looks so much cooler. And
Brings it to life.
The water on the water. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Anyway, I'm screwing it up here.
So some of these effects are built into Fantasy Grounds, and some of them are rendered from your small video files, right?
Right. Well, those are only two effects that are built in the
Right.
FX layer. So, but I wanted to point those out because I thought they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to put the token or whatever you want to show where your ship is flying by on the planet. So, been there a million times in my gaming where you want to know where your ship is on the planet, or where you're landing, or where you're searching, or where you send your probe.
Right.
And then you could like drill down on different areas. Like if we click here, this is also from the Hex map. It's just a demo map I made. So that's an encounter area, potential encounter area to land your ship. I made another one here. Same. Just an installation in a GeoHex map. Demo map that's included as well. And then here, let's say you're going to the starport. You're going to click that. And a little bit of closer map of the starport. And then you click. I was kind of proud of my mountains that I made.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Good texture.
And I'm sure I'm going to do more hexes, like different versions of trees and stuff, and probably just put them on the forge as an add-on or something. Because another problem I ran into is like the starport stuff that I have, right? It's broke up into different. Let me bring up the starport. This is a linked map from Starport Supplemental. But this with the forge, it's 100 megabyte limit or something.
Yeah.
Right. So I with some 3D assets and especially animations and stuff like that, and I like the Starport One product is just this stuff over here, just the landing pads. It's huge. It's humongous. I mean, it's huge maps of all these, and then huge maps of the buildings. Some of the buildings also in them. So that what I wanted to do ultimately was just make one Starport product and have all of the stuff in it, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's too big, and like I said, if you use like large assets, if you're not used to Fantasy Grounds, it can be problematic.
So what I did here is I took this map from Starport Supplemental and added some additional links, and this actually links to the Starport One. But you can see this one links to the corporate district.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a view of the corporate district from corporate district product, obviously. That's the ISO view. And I included the ISO view and the top-down view of each district.
Wow.
And that gives you an idea of depth. If you're looking at it 2D from here, or if you're like a player and you're wondering if I'm on that building, am I going to be able to see something over here, or am I going to be able to aim at something over here? It's hard to tell from just a top view. But if you bring up this one, you can say, oh, well, maybe I could,
Yeah.
Maybe I could see down that way, or with the ranges in Traveler especially. I mean, if you're standing on that building, your short range for a plasma gun is probably off this map,
Right.
right?
I agree.
So so each one of these sections of, it's like 4 different maps, is one of the products. So that here, these 4 sections is the corporate district. This here's the government district, that's included with supplemental. This down here is the admin district. And this here's the trade district. And then supplemental is a bunch of different maps outside, like this one, just a landing pad. This one's like fuel towers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You could have like a tactical combat here. I mean, you could zoom in pretty good on these guys, even though they're 25 pixel. You can put a token there and then play.
Yep. That's pretty neat. Got a lot of bases covered here for sure.
The industrial district. Yeah, it's totally playable.
Yeah.
You put I got the I think it's called CRW assets or something, vehicles. It's free, and it's got a whole bunch of vehicles in it. You could drop a vehicle in here and have some vehicle combat with dudes and robots or whatever you want.
Cool.
So let me get back on track here. We're on the corporate district, so we'll drill down to
So there's the actual district.
Yeah, this is the actual district, and each quad has the ISO and the top down.
Wow.
So that's in each one of them. And this one, let's see, we'll bring up the actual map. So this is actually the main quad map. So this is 25 pixel.
Mm-hmm.
Put doors above the buildings, because if you have a sniper on a building or something, you don't want the players to see them.
Yeah.
It's obviously pretty common in my game.
Yeah.
But same with this one. You can put vehicles and combat, and even have a starship come down and pick you up or whatever. It's
pretty neat.
And here's the Megacorp. So this is another product. Now, in each district, I tried to include at least 1 or 2 buildings that's included with it. So like the trade district has a couple warehouses at 100 pixel, actual 100 pixel combat maps. I put those in. But this one took so much time, I made it a separate product. And, we're looking at the size, right? So I couldn't really add too much to some of these because they were already getting too huge. So this is the Megacorp. I'm just showing you part of it. It's got a book and everything, but so it's got 8 levels.
Wow, that's pretty big.
And bring up, say you're just walking in. Here's a 100 pixel map. Come in here. They could zoom in really good on this one since it's 100 pixel.
Oh, that's pretty big. What does it look like in the 2D mode?
2D mode, let's see.
Or do you have something that you'd like to show that's different than this? Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I love 2D mode. So
yeah,
cool.
It's pretty neat. So this will add definitely to immersion, and once you have all your assets put in place and stuff, it'll be neat. They are coming out with, if you haven't watched the video, they are coming out with props. So this sort of thing could be expanded.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But again, you're going to run into that ceiling,
Right.
So you're going to have to do one little room at a time or something like that.
You got to download. You got to buy these 5 Forge products to have one whole thing, right?
That's really cool, man. I'm really proud of you to see how far you've come along since we talked last, because I think you're just kind of getting going when we did the traveler shows, and you had stuff to show, but we were doing 6 different events, so it was kind of hard to.
Oh, you're right, because when we did the symposium, I think it was, I think I might have just had the deck plans out.
Yeah, it was been a while, so
I don't remember exactly, but that was fun.
It's a few years of work here for sure.
Yeah, that was fun. I like doing that. These are the computers. There's nothing animated in this. I mean, this is a lot of Arc and Forge assets too, because they had some cooler assets.
Yeah.
But yeah, these computers are mine. The chairs are mine. The tiles are generally mine. But some of these up here, some of
Yeah.
the computers,
Grading.
Arc and Forge, they do some really cool stuff, and I couldn't resist.
I hear you.
Anyway, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're into, you got a corporate adventure or something.
So you got the quadrant, and then you got the space, and then you got the planet, and then you got the spot on the planet, and then you got the buildings or the district, and then you got the buildings, and then you got the rooms.
And also in the corporate district was one of these. So I said that. So if you're doing like I said, in each quad, I tried to put at least 2 maps. So this one has 2 corporate buildings.
Very cool.
Levels 2 to 3 in the basement. So this comes with it.
Wow.
This was actually pretty hard because I did the cubicles and everything and the lighting.
Jeez, that's a lot of work.
I know.
I can appreciate it because I've messed around with maps too, and it's not,
There's
it's not
the
a
bathroom.
cakewalk.
Well, let's see. Let's unlock it. See what the LOS looks like. Oops, where did I go? There. Ouch.
Oh yeah.
Getting the lighting right on big, huge maps is just not there yet. I mean, it's close.
Right.
Out of
Close
all this, just getting the lighting right, because there's probably a million lights in this. Oh yeah, look at all the lights. It's a lot. So, depending on your CPU, disable it. Right?
Yeah, that's a common thing. Like you'll get someone who gets really excited, and they get going on it, and then they realize that their computer's kind of coughing.
Here's with lighting. Here's without lighting. So
Yeah,
it's not
quite
a huge
difference. Yeah,
There is a huge difference, but if you're just playing, I mean, and you want to save some bandwidth, just turn the lights off.
that's it.
Players don't care.
You can use the masking tool if you have to.
Right. But I wanted to show you just some more of the content that's actually included with it, but each one should have one or two. I made a cool bar, or I thought it was cool anyway.
Let's check it out. What is there, a bar district?
Go back to the starport map. Here it is. The trade district.
Okay.
See, that's like an asteroid that they towed down. So it would be in this one. Bigger.
Wow.
So when I made this, I was thinking like the miners and stuff. What's that show? I forget the name of it. The show with Mars and Earth and it's an RPG too. I forget the name offhand, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
About it for.
I was thinking of Earth too. I don't know why I thought of that.
Let's bring that one up. So it's basically an asteroid that they either towed down or hit, and then they dug into it and made a bar. So there's a bar and there's like an arena in the middle.
Wow. Like a fighting pit or something?
Yeah, keep the players busy. So when they're bored, just hang out here.
Throw a couple aliens in there and let them fight.
Yeah, right.
Creatures.
And then I made a couple levels to it. Casino.
Casino
second level.
Yep, gotta have that. Now you gotta have your casino mechanics figured out. Little games that you can roll or games of chance.
There's something to keep the players busy. They're just going to come up here with grenades and blow everything up anyway. My players, anyway. Oh yeah, here's like the control room, where computers and stuff. There's like a safe room back here, or
Cool.
whatever you want to make it. Really.
Pool room or the VIP room.
My players would eventually figure out a way to come up here and try to steal stuff, or whatever it is.
Coming to loot.
Right. Anyway, that comes with it. With the trade district. The event stage? Oh, why like that? Oh, okay. Let's keep going then. Let's see. So where?
Yeah, let's check out one of those ships, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was out here in Starport 1.
Yeah. There we go.
So this is Starport 1 product. And this map is huge.
I bet.
And it's a couple years old. When I released it, I just had this map, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get so many complaints. But nobody complained. Maybe nobody used it. I don't know. It did sell quite a few, but nobody complained. So eventually I ended up making, I'll show you. Eventually I broke down and broke it down to different parts. So you can bring this map up. You could actually, this is 25 pixels, so you could combat on this map. It's decent enough to zoom in to have combat on it, the 25 pixels. Or they could just do separate parts of it here. It brings up individual maps of different buildings.
Wow. Gives you an idea of the scale when you drill down like this.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's ginormous.
Zoom in. There we go.
Yeah.
And that, here's the main warehouse, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
And you could take like my cargo assets that I'm pretty sure are included with this, and you could put cargo there and range stuff. Put any assets anywhere you want, obviously.
Yeah, a couple vehicles, whatever.
Yeah, just cater it to whatever your current adventure is. And then let's see the center. Oh, I put the starship on this one, on the big one. This one? Yeah, here we go. Now, I've played with this map and everything. Even years ago, I played with it, but maybe everyone in the group had really good internet connections, right?
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know. But here is the medium landing pad that's with Starport 1, and this is completely mapped out.
Yeah.
This is 100 pixel too, so
wow.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Right. So this map, they can go anywhere they want. Pretty sure this one has line of sight everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I put lighting in this one. Yeah, I didn't, just because it was too big.
Much.
That's too much. I do have my limits. Anyway, I kind of set up a sample encounter. This is from the free vehicles thing I got out on the Forge for Traveler. These are the Aslans. There's an Aslan and Vargar top-down token thing I got on the Forge. That's also free.
Cool.
That's another problem. I was complaining about there's no 2D deck maps. There's no 2D deck maps. So I finally made 2D deck maps, and everyone's been complaining for years. There's no Vargars or Aslan tokens. There's no Vargar or Aslan tokens. So finally, I just did my best. I mean, these
it's not bad.
Aren't the greatest, but
they get the point across.
Passable.
Yeah.
These guys are for my starport tokens, like the maintenance dudes working on the ship, some robots in that.
Cool.
But yeah, so basically I have an encounter here. And this is from the starships, but I have I think the vehicle package also has starships in it from Traveler for 25 pixel, so you can just drop those right on here. It's in a folder in the vehicles. I included it in there. So
cool.
If you want a Traveler Scout Courier here, either the top view or the inside view, you could drop that from this product.
Cool.
And then my latest product, I finally got all my assets together that I used to create those free deck plans. I put them all together, and now it's I think it's called CRW Deck Plans. my latest one.
Wow, this is big too. Kind of.
Yeah, yeah, this is a pretty big map, but really what took it so long to load is if you look at some of these newer computer assets that I did included in it, you can get right up to and almost read
Wow.
the text
That's
going by.
incredible. That's so cool.
It's probably too big. I'm pretty sure I included one that ended up. So I think I got this asset in there, and then this asset's also in there with the SM at the end, which is a smaller version of it.
I see you got a map, like a planet map over on the left.
Oh yeah, that there is.
Yeah, that's your thing.
Yeah, it's just a subsector. I think it
Neat.
might be the same one we were looking at.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's see the
this is
planets.
also
Oh wow, they're moving too. How neat.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
This one, this hollow. This is. I think I just threw this one in GIMP.
Right. Can you throw it down in 2D? Let's see what it looks like.
Oh yeah. See.
Oh heck yeah, that is so cool. That'll be a lot of fun if you guys get into it like this.
Yeah, this. Look at the. I redid the iris valves. Look at that. It's even got a little
Oh wow.
display on it and the lights. So I'm redoing all my assets, and I just included the ones I've completed so far, which was mostly computers, but I did some doors, and I also wanted to do the lights. See, these are also assets, individual assets. These lights that are blinking. So I tried to emulate the effect of a ceiling light reflecting off the floor, and then made it blink in and out like so many sci-fi movies do to add that element. And the hallways, every sci-fi movie seems to have a hallway with the blinking lights. They're either reflecting off the bottom or they're actually on the bottom of a kind of a hexagon-like corridor, where this would be the flat part and this kind of be leaning up or angled up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
So that's been one of my focuses, is try to get a little more atmosphere into it,
Yeah,
because all my old tokens were like super clean, almost like Star Trek, like someone
kind
just
of
mopped.
clinical. Yeah.
Like a
Anyways,
robot just went through and mopped, and it's military clean. Uh, oh, the engine, these are cool too if you get up close. The fusion reactors and stuff.
yeah. So, other than the file size, what other challenges did you have for creating these assets? Other than time, I guess. Time and the size, I guess, is the main ones.
Time,
Time.
probably most of the. I mean, just figuring out what it's going to look like first, right? Without copying someone else too much.
Hmm.
So just making it as unique as you possibly can was probably my biggest hang up. But once I had a pretty good idea what I wanted to do, modeling it out was pretty quick.
Okay.
I'm getting to the point where it doesn't take me long to do modeling. I mean, I'm far, far, far from an expert, but I can do squares and rectangles pretty quick. Most of
Yeah.
these, and then the texturing, not a big deal.
Right. I like how you have all those plasma um, arcs going on there.
I did a couple different versions of that too. So there's the plasma one. There's one that's more like arcing electricity,
Yeah.
like this here, but in the bubble.
Right. Can you
Uh,
put a Vargar or one of your tokens on there? Do you have any characters made up?
sure I could.
Take
I
your
just
time, but hurry back.
let's see. What are my Vargars? CRW.
Alien tokens.
Oh yeah, you're right. You know better than I do. There we go.
Okay.
Dang it! Did I just do that? There we go. So take a Vargar. take this guy in a black white suit because you clash with the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see the 2D version.
Oh, I did do a 2D version of
Oh,
these.
okay. Sorry. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not that talented. I mean, as a matter of fact, my 3D model of these guys is, if you look at it, I focused on the top view, right? It's almost like the guy in the video who's only wearing doesn't have pants, the newscaster who doesn't have any pants on. So it's kind of like that. I focused on the 2D because I was just in such a hurry, and I don't like doing this because
yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of off your.
I had to learn so much more stuff, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, maybe at some point in the future, if you can send me the render of the NPCs, I don't care if they're colored or not, but to have the shape would be helpful. And I'll see if I can come up with something.
Because there's like skeleton structures that you attach to the model. And
but if I have the model, I can probably model something off of that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because it'll take the existing colors and some of the styling that you have from the top view and fill in the rest. So that would be kind of cool. We'll see. We'll try one and see if it actually works.
But yeah, I was just fed up, and we have Aslans and Vargars in our game all the time, and I was tired of using tokens that didn't match.
Right. I hear you.
At least I got close.
Yeah, the bane of our existence. We don't like that. Can't play like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. You've done incredible work here. This is a lot of drilling down and starting way on the top or going way down to the surface. This is.
And another thing about this is I used Arcade Forge before, but this one is the first time I did completely. This is completely done in Fantasy Ground. So I used Fantasy Grounds 100% to make this.
Well, that's a good jump. And it shows you the power of what can be done.
Yeah, and it's come a long ways because I picked Arcade Forge for a reason. I tried using Fantasy Grounds back in the day, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, it was a little rough back then, but I think it's come a long ways, and there's a lot more assets now and textures and.
I created this whole thing. I just boom. I was done. I was pretty impressed with how far they've come. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that it can't do that I want to do. That's pretty easy to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few Photoshop things that are missing out of that tool, but it does a majority.
Another thing, I'm kind of proud of these. The
particles,
particles, and the engine effect because it's kind of. There's some alpha going on there. Mm-hmm. And you can turn those off.
Neat.
Another thing, a lot of the deck, a lot of the Traveler players and deck plan enthusiasts like their deck plans a certain way. So my initial ones, I had the chairs and the beds and everything in there. In this one, you could just turn them off, right?
Nice. They're on a
different chairs. Oh, no more chairs. You don't want the beds. Boom, no more beds.
Can you show that flickering light? Zoom in a little bit.
This one?
Yeah, so that's like flickering assets.
See how it kind of spreads out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That took forever to get right.
I bet. A nice touch, though. It kind of gives you that feeling that you're.
I know. I hope
power surges.
Like that. I hope people like that because I was ripping my hair out on that one.
It's power surges or fluctuations or whatever.
Yeah,
and the nature of the light too, because it's probably blinking a billion times a second.
I should probably make one that blinks a little faster and is less noticeable.
But it makes it look like the ship is under strain with power.
Yeah,
like they're putting all the power to the shields, and that's what happens to their lighting.
It's probably the typical scout carrier. They're all a couple 100 years old. So
yeah, that too.
You're always working on.
They're showing their age for sure. That's pretty neat, man. I'm pretty impressed. So, is there anything else you'd want to impart?
Yeah, another thing I did. So, not only do you have all the things you can turn on and off, right? Mm-hmm. All the assets, but there's some backgrounds. So if you're sitting here, you do.
Oh, cool.
Say you're in jump.
Yeah.
There's an animated jump background. Here's a second one. Maybe your jump looks like this. I don't know.
Wow.
Nobody
Or
really
maybe
knows.
that's your force field.
Yeah, or that. Maybe no one really knows what jump looks like. I was
Yep.
struggling, so I'm like, oh, I'll just try these things and see how it goes. There's some asteroids going by, and I did 2 of those. This one's slower.
Yeah, and a little bit more visible. Cool. Like it's closer.
And then I did the stars.
Oh, neat.
So if you switch to this view,
Yeah,
still looks.
that's really cool, man. Yeah, wow.
And I did another stars. I did this one, just regular stars. So that'd be like maneuvering around, whereas this one would be like going super fast or in jump.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, I had fun creating those. The only problem is if you're doing on a deck plan, obviously you have to have the alpha, right?
Yeah.
And my initial ones, I didn't do an alpha. The deck plan, all this area outside where you're seeing the animation would be black.
I'm doing some sci-fi soundtrack work, so maybe we can work something out.
Yeah, totally.
Like if you want to
cool.
do like a demo video, I could put some music to it that's copyright free, or we can even use like Monument Studio stuff. They'll let you use theirs too. Yeah, it would be kind of neat. It would add to the overall appeal to it, I guess.
This was my favorite. The asteroid's my favorite, and there's some serious animation going on in this map, man. We got like the blinking lights animations, and those are like there's quite a few of the assets that I used to make those. Also the hallway, that's probably I don't know 10 or 20 different individual blinking assets. The computers are probably 50 frames, and it's FGU's handling it like a champ.
Yeah, not bad.
So it's pretty crazy.
But you also have it kind of optimized for it too.
Yeah, I made them as compact as I could. I mean, once you introduce animations, all bets are off. But especially as you add more and more and more. But
yeah,
it's really no different than my hex map product with a couple hundred hexes.
So with something like this, you can just unshare a lot of the maps that you don't need at the time, and that'll help keep the load down.
Yeah, there's certainly things you can do.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So is there any advice? We want to wrap this up soon. So is there any advice or anything new coming up that you want to impart?
I am working on, the latest thing I'm working on was someone mentioned on the forums that they wanted range bands.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So let's see. This is a 25 pixel. Okay, so we'll take this one. I think I put them in at least the latest iteration. I'm still working on it. Campaign. Oh, there they are. So I got one animated one and one not animated one because not everyone's going to be happy with the animated one because it's so huge and it's a resource hog. Or you could use I always want to give people the option.
And then of course you can take the.
So you can take this and you can take the tint.
Yeah,
go down a little bit so you can see through better. That's part of the optimization I'm working on now is getting the alpha from Blender to FGU to be the same. So I don't have to do that. So I just drop it on here and it pretty much looks like this.
Yeah, to begin with.
Yeah, but this is like the ranges in Traveler are crazy. I think this is the shortest range, 5 meters. So it's like a musket.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Some pistol or something. But you can see even with your musket, you got pretty good range.
Yeah, you do.
But if you take a assault weapon or ACR, which is probably the most popular Traveler gun, your range is going to cover this whole map. It's going to be like this.
Oh my god!
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about just including some of the smaller ranges in the larger weapons. I haven't really decided yet.
Yeah, that's a good idea though. So the animated one just has a rotation in it.
Yeah, that's the animated one. I'm going to probably make it a little more obvious as it's animated, but still working on the. Yeah, I was kicking my butt right now. Or this one. This is the not animated one. I mean, honestly, if I'm playing, I'm probably using this one because you don't care. I don't care if it's animated or not. I just want to know.
You just got to know where to go. Yeah.
Do I get +1 or do I get +2?
Yeah, then you know where you can hit.
Right.
It's harder to measure, isn't it? In this, go from one token to the next.
Oh yeah.
Scale.
Let's see. Put it in game mode.
Yeah, that may not be 7 meters. So.
Right. I had to switch it to raw. I think that's a setting up here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's a game setting up here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you switch that to raw, otherwise it gets a little funky because 5e pretty much rules the earth when it comes to VTTs, and
yeah,
if 5e has a range standard, that's what they use. I think
I know what you mean.
1.5 or 2 in diagonal range or something like that.
Yeah, not too many rules use meters. I mean, some do, but not many.
Right. Well, at least they did 1.5, which is close to the 5
Yeah,
foot.
it is.
But yeah, I got tons more stuff. I could probably go on for hours and hours if I
Well,
thought
this
about.
gives us a good idea of the product range and the detail that you put into it, and then also this amount of hours and the scale of it. It's just huge.